It's not only a murderer, it's an indestructible terror.
Oh, no.
And he's a little bit picky. He shouldn't be picky. He should be killing every fucker. I shot him 6 times. Yeah.
How many times you shoot him?
Hi.
Happy Halloween, everyone. Can I start it like that?
Well, you have. Yes. So, have you watched anything recently? I watched Last Night in Soho.
No, I've not seen that, have you? It's good.
Yeah, I'm just talking about that. I thought it was all right.
What?
I quite like the backdrop of London in the 50s. It was all right. I'm not sure I was...
I quite like
blown
when
away.
she goes into... I'm trying to remember it now. When she goes into the house, the mirrors and hands coming up the floor. It's a bit repulsion, sort of derriere with the lights, red light and all that.
Yeah, it was all right.
And the dancing bit, where she's in the nightclub, is really good, I thought, where she's coming down as a reflection of the other woman there, and then the
yeah, she's kind of watching her. Anya. She's always really good in stuff, isn't she? So yeah. I also watched Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Dementor.
Demeter.
I thought it was Dementor.
No, I don't think it's Dementor. It's not Harry Potter. I thought it's Demeter. Anyway, the boat carrying Dracula over. It's kind of like a monster movie.
Monster Munch.
Yes, I like the monsters, kind of like a Salem's Lot, Nosferatu kind of monster design. I quite liked it. It was all right. It was okay. Well, while you're remembering that, I also have watched the latest series of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Back on track, because the last season I thought was a bit of a stinker, but this one's quite...
Oh, the one in Ireland, when
Yes.
it really wasn't. Well, about 2 scenes
Yes.
worth. Yeah.
Not so good, but actually I thought this was back to normal.
The first
back
one
in
was
the bar.
amazing. Was it the first one was eating peanuts? The inflation.
Yes.
It doesn't even make any sense just eating peanuts.
Have you watched the last one of the season?
No,
Where
we've only got...
You have to watch the last one. That's all I'll say. It's a cracker.
But, I mean, I watched Bodies, Bodies, Bodies a while ago. This horror film. Sort of comedy horror film, but it was quite good.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a murder mystery kind of thing, but it isn't really. It's mainly horror and people getting killed quite badly. Ready to watch.
Okay, who's that by?
Kevin Williamson, I think, did it. The one who did Scream.
And the other film I watched, which I'd never seen before, and everybody says it's terrible, but I watched it anyway, was Tusk. The Kevin Smith one. I don't know what to say.
I know, it feels to me similar to if I watched Human Centipede, because I only got about halfway into that and I just went...
It's not for me. It was meant to be very, very loosely based on a true story, but it's not. Well, no, I think it was based on an advert that somebody put in somewhere where they said they wanted somebody to come round and dress as a walrus.
Have you watched Fresh yet?
No.
That's on Disney Plus, but you should watch it. It is really good, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. But you think it's a different type of film. And
then it switches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sort of. Maybe not. I didn't know anything about it, which made it good, I suppose.
That's...
Well, I've got Police Story lined up. For some reason, they've got
an absolute classic
4K version on Sky. So, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Yes, please.
A bit of Maggie Chung and a bit of Jackie Chan. You couldn't ask for more, really. Anyway, yes, okay. Well, that's really...
pointless. That's all getting
really...
cut out.
Yeah. Okay. Halloween 2, 1981. Directed by Rick Rosenthal. Written and produced by Jonathan Carter and Deborah...
Jonathan Carter? Do you really mean that then?
Written and produced by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill.
Yeah.
Well, Rick Rosenthal also directed Halloween Resurrection, which is, as everybody knows, is probably one of the worst of the 13 Halloween films that have now been made. That's generally known as the worst one.
Yeah, I won't watch that again. I was looking at him, Rick Rosenthal,
through binoculars.
Yeah. Interesting facts. Married to Nancy Stevens, who's a nurse in Halloween.
Oh no! Yes, she's the lady that works at the
asylum.
At the asylum. Yes. Yeah.
I married her, I think, in the same year that he made the film. So
right. Okay.
He obviously met her on the film and went, "She's all right." Anyway, but I heard he was like a film student that John Carpenter went, I don't want to direct this. I'll write it, because it just gave him loads of money. He said, will you just make Halloween 2? And he doesn't like doing sequels at all.
We've got Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis. She was in, obviously, The Fog, Knives Out, Prom Night, Trading Places, Terror Train, Road Game, Escape from LA, Everything, Everywhere.
She's
All
not
at
in
Once.
Escape from LA.
Well, she is, because she does the voice of the kind of computer thing.
Does she?
Yeah.
Right.
In Escape, I think, and Escape from New York as well, I think. Yeah, that was on Wikipedia. I don't argue with that, because that knows everything. We've also got, obviously, Donald Pleasance, the legend, as Dr. Loomis. He's obviously in Prince of Darkness. He's in Phenomena, Argento's. Alone in the Dark, Escape from New York, The Uncanny, The Mutations, From Beyond the Grave, which is a classic, Tales That Witness Madness. I mean, the list goes on and on.
The Terence Hill.
Trent D'Arby. Yes. And he's even been in a Terence Hill and Bud Spencer film, and we love them as well. So, yeah. He's also in, going way back, obviously he's in The Great Escape, and he's in Fantastic Voyage. So he's been in loads of films. He's a legend. We've also got Sheriff Lee Brackett, Charles Cypher, who was in Vigilante Force, Assault on Precinct 13, The Fog, Escape from New York, so loads of John Carpenter films. And he's in Death Wish 2 as well. We've got Jimmy, who's kind of Laurie Strode's kind of love interest loosely. Lance Guest, he was in The Last Starfighter.
Great film. Last Starfighter is ace film.
And not such a great film, Jaws, Revenge.
Never seen it.
Oh, yes, it's not great.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. I mean, it's always said as the worst film. It's not as bad as people say, but I suppose they're comparing it to Jaws, aren't they?
Yeah.
We've got Nurse Karen Bailey, who's played by Pamela Susan Shoop.
Is she the bath?
Yes,
one?
she goes into the kind of therapy room. Tawny Mayer, who plays Nurse Jill Franco. Dick Warlock plays Michael Myers in the film. Taglines: The nightmare isn't over. More of the night he came home.
Which is a bit of a shit tagline. He goes, night he came home, it's more of that. But it's true, though.
Another tagline: just when you thought it was safe to go trick-or-treating.
That's
and
awful.
It's not only a murderer, it's an indestructible terror was one as well. All taglines to the film. We rejoin the story with Halloween 2, released 3 years after the original, but picking up the story exactly where the first one left off. I've got a question. You're quite well read in terms of John Carpenter and things. Was this the first film of its type where the film picked up the story where the first one ended? But I just wonder, because that was always the bit I kind of really liked about this.
Hang on, no, Frankenstein. I think Bride of Frankenstein carried on pretty much straight after.
Maybe that was one.
Because the whole windmill comes down, and I think it almost carries on immediately.
He then goes on to try and create...
Nothing to do with John Carpenter. I'm just...
I was asking in general.
I'm quite a clever person,
So, you've talked about John Carpenter doesn't like to make sequels. Do you think...
I know he did make Escape from LA, but that goes to show that he shouldn't.
Well, do you think it was ever his intention, then, that the story would continue in a sequel?
No, and he slagged it off. He's not slagged it off, obviously, because he said, look, someone else directed it, did the best they could. He wrote it. And again, there's a twist in it, which he now regrets.
I just put, wouldn't it have been amazing, kind of a little bit like Black Christmas as a film, if this had remained a one-off and we'd never had the other 12 films, if this had been a film after the first one where there'd never been any more Halloween films.
Well, that was it. That he said, okay, I'll be involved with Halloween 3, but it's going to be purely separate films that tells a different story. And that didn't work out because Halloween 3 didn't do as well as it could. Which is a shame because, again, we had a discussion about a Halloween film we should do, and we were on about Halloween 3, and I said, no, it's too obvious that that's underappreciated.
Yeah, it is.
I think most people agree. It got slagged off. No one went to watch it.
They were disappointed it wasn't more of the same, and it wasn't. And actually...
Oh, it's not perfect either. As well. It's quite, but it's...
No, it's not 10 out of 10.
Totally in isolation, though, it is a flipping good film.
Yeah, it's good. Mr. Sandman playing.
Good choice.
By the Cordettes. Yeah, really like it. And we're in about 3 or 4 minutes we get the end of the first film, don't
it's
we?
a bit of recycling of the... And actually, there probably is more. But now I think about it, I don't know whether there was a first, but there is a lot of films that do that. Probably Friday the 13th did it a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's other films where it's blatantly done because the director's probably a bit lazy.
Well, yeah.
Boogeyman, Revenge of the Boogeyman's one where they just basically just show the first film.
Yeah, and what's the other one?
And try and pin a film around it.
And there's another, is it Silent Night, Deadly Night, where they pretty much put the entire film in there?
I'll tell you, absolutely. In the second film, they pretty much show half of the first film, I think. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, pretty much it picks up from the scene where Laurie's telling the children to run out of the house, and then behind Laurie, slightly out of focus, we get Michael sitting up.
Yeah, one of the best scenes, which is annoying as well, where he sits up all straight, and the bit where he goes, dun dun, which is the best bit of music. They don't do that.
Yeah, I've put even the music to accompany Michael sitting up has changed because it's like a drone kind of. It's not that kind of. Yeah.
Having said that, the music in the film is pretty good.
I really like the soundtrack. It's not quite as good because it's not.
It's not as simplistic, I don't think.
Exactly.
Where the first one was more piano based, they've now got all the synthesizers, and he's got Alan Howarth that he used to go. Generally, John Carpenter used to say, "Alan, you know, I'm pretty good at this, but you know what the hell you're freaking doing. So I'll have a go." He
had confidence to just let him get on with it.
Yeah, but it's more synthesized up. But having said that, some of it is better. Which I'm going to say straight away. Alan Wake 2 soundtrack is better than the film straight away.
Yeah, I quite like it. So anyway, Laurie sends the kids out screaming. Loomis, who wanders up, goes into the house and shoots Michael off the balcony.
But you see it from a different point of view.
Yeah.
Which is a bit different. To be honest, in the first one, you went, how the hell has he gone over that bit? And it makes more sense and looks a better stunt in the second one in a way. But then they do a different take again where he doesn't look out the window. Because it wouldn't make sense if he just stares out the window for about a minute, which he does at the end of Halloween. It would be a bit weird. So instead, he runs downstairs and looks at the patch where Mike should be.
So Laurie says to Loomis, "Was that the boogeyman?" And I'm quoting what everybody probably knows anyway. As a matter of fact, it was. And then, he goes down and the imprint in the grass and Michael's gone. In a way, I wish the film had started at the point where it just showed the imprint where he once was.
The trouble is, I guess some people go, I can't remember how the last one ended because they're stupid. The bloke, you don't see him, comes out the other house and goes...
The neighbour.
Yeah, and he says some old bollocks and goes, "What are you saying?" And he goes, "Call the police." Loomis says, "Call the police." And he goes, "Oh, what's all this?" I'm paraphrasing. And then goes, "I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight." And Dr. Loomis goes, "You don't know what death is."
Yeah, music kicks in. Yes,
yeah,
credits roll.
And it works. As cheesy as it is. Even though it kicks in and then Loomis sort of looks around the house and you think, why are you looking up there? You know the fucker's not there. He sort of looks around and you go, "Oh, Pleasance, what are you doing, mate?"
I have to say, Donald Pleasance acting throughout the film, as much as I love him,
not as good as the first one, is it?
Suspect at times. Don't want to say it. He does seem slightly drunk throughout the film.
No, he probably got a big paycheck for this one because the first one he would have got fuck all.
And all credit for him because he was a movie star and he took that role. Yeah. But he obviously made plenty of money off it from that point on.
He's not quite. He seems a bit out of it.
So the credits roll. So we've got the pumpkin, which in this film cracks. So what do you think about the cracking open of the pumpkin to reveal a skull?
I remember as a kid thinking, "Oh, that's quite scary," but now it looks a bit cheesy. Because in the first one, it was purely a pumpkin while you had the titles on and you had the really ace music. Yeah, it zooms in and then it opens up. And I think when I watched it on the video where it was pan and scanned and it was not great, and they did that weird thing where they pushed the sides in, so it's long and thin. Rather than...
Yeah, they changed the aspect.
So you can, change the aspect ratio so you make it long and thin. It was kind of better. It was a bit more weird and scary.
We quite like that when they adjust it. But like with Zombie Flesh Eaters, where all the zombies end up being very tall and thin.
Like basketball playing zombies.
Harlem Globe zombies. Sorry.
Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't. It's
Again,
not the best start to the film.
Again, they took the ideas from Halloween and tried to add bits to it, and you didn't really need to do that. So, yeah. Anyway, Michael's on the run straight away. We see things through his eyes, heavy breathing, all that. He's kind of peering around a corner and he spots Loomis. Loomis says,
"Oh yeah,
I shot him 6 times.
I shot him 6 times.
I shot him in the heart. I shot him 6 times." He keeps saying it.
I know." And I think the police picks him up, and goes,
Yeah.
"How many times you shoot him?"
6 times. He creeps into a house and steals a knife.
Dr. Loomis doesn't do that.
No, sorry. Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, this is a bit. These next scenes I've got a problem with, in terms of it's slow and it's just trying to get something going, but it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well,
Again,
it
I
makes
get annoyed.
sense.
He gets a knife, right? But he doesn't really. He uses it about once, doesn't he? Really?
Well, he's a psychopath. I mean,
if he's a psychopath, why doesn't he kill the woman with the fucking knife?
well, he's choosing.
Anyway,
Well,
are you going to explain the scene? Or
but he's on a.
Well,
no, what I'm saying is he's on a one-man mission, isn't he? To kill Laurie.
Yeah, but
Yeah, listen. Laurie Strode. He's on a one-man mission. And anyway, he doesn't want to disturb them because they're watching Night of the Living Dead, aren't they? She's making a sandwich and he's watching Night of the Living Dead.
Because it's Halloween and there's a bit of a motif that people are watching horror films, which was in the first one as well.
Yeah. There's a radio bulletin in the background that announced the grisly discovery of the 3 bodies from the first film. Then he creeps into next doors and, I mean...
this bit's bollocks.
And
this is the worst bit.
He kind of pops up.
Yeah, like a jack in a box. It's like a jack. So I remember reading about this as well, and a lot of people agree as well. The whole purpose of him is he's slow, and you bump into him, or he just comes around a corner, and he doesn't jump out at you.
Yeah, I mean, he like an evil presence. He's meant to emerge or come out of the darkness, which they do a little bit later on. But the way he kind of jumps up is terrible.
It feels like this bit was tagged on, like these 2 bits where he takes a knife and he kills this random girl. Because there's no reason. Well, if he's killing randomly, I get it, but then he should have killed that woman that he took the knife off.
He's not a remorseless killing machine, is he? He's quite choosy.
He's got a knife now.
He's
got a knife now, and then he goes, I've just seen this woman talking. I'll go over there, hide, and then jump up at the last bit. And also, he comes through the front door while she's on the phone, so he's not even that sneaky. It is a bit jumpy, though. I knew it was coming, but I was going, oh yeah, he jumps up in a bit. But it's the sting of the music that makes me jump, not him jumping up like a divvy. But yeah, it's awful. It's a good kill, though. The way they cut the kill, where you see he's got a knife and then you just see blood squirt up on a net.
Yeah, it's kind of splashes up.
Yeah, that bit's good. There's a bloke on the right here just crouching down. What's he doing?
Back at the house, Laurie. Hey, this is the first time we get to see...
I think it's Laurie.
I'm going with Laurie. Well,
like in red Laurie, yellow Laurie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. So, back at the house, this is the first time we get to see Red Laurie's wig.
Oh, yeah.
Well, isn't it great?
Well, yeah, but you got to remember she did prom now. She'd cut all her hair. She'd had short hair since about the
Yeah, and
80s.
she still has it as well, so yeah. As she gets wheeled out of the house in the aftermath of the first film, paramedics take her out and...
Paramedics?
Red Laurie gets taken out of the house by paramedics.
Who's he?
As she gets taken to the hospital. Haddonsfield Memorial Hospital, no less. Actually, at this point, we're about 15 minutes in, and this is probably the most horrible bit, where a mum takes her son into the hospital with a razor blade wedged in his mouth.
I remember this as a kid thinking, oh, Jesus.
Horrible.
That is the most gory bit out of the entire film, isn't it? Really?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's the most uncomfortable scene.
And this is a bit like I'd heard that John Carpenter had to cut more gory scenes in this film.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The paramedics arrive at the hospital with Laurie in a wig, obviously. Laurie. One of them is Jimmy, who's taken a shine to Laurie. That will be developed throughout. It's pointless if you really care. Drunk doctor, another pointless bit to the film.
Yeah.
And everybody seems to recognise Laurie Strode. She doesn't want to be injected with anything because she doesn't want to sleep. She wants to stay awake. Please don't put me to sleep.
I know,
she
another
says.
grim bit where you see a needle going in.
Oh, yeah, close-ups of people being injected, which if you're bothered about needles, you won't like. Sheriff Brackett and Loomis continue to drive the neighbourhood. They continue to bicker as well.
Yeah, I phased this a little bit out.
As they're driving around, Loomis spots somebody dressed exactly like Michael. Acting like Michael.
Well, no, hang on. Looks fuck all like him.
Inadvertently, in the act of chasing him, they distract him, and the Myers-alike gets ploughed down by a cop car, ramming him into a van. The unfortunate... Well, I thought this was just pointless, but the unfortunate victim can't be ID'd by Loomis, so they don't know at that point whether that's Michael or not.
Can I say who he is?
Yeah.
Ben Tramer. Which in the original is the one that Laurie Strode fancies.
So he's dead.
So Ben Tramer's fucked. So Laurie, sorry mate.
Yeah, but she's got Jimmy.
Well, he's a wazzock when he's not skidding around the floor.
Sheriff Brackett then learns that one of the 3 kids from the original film killed was Annie, his daughter. So he gets that report coming in. So
and she very kindly does a cameo of a dead body. I hope she got paid all right for it.
I know, yeah, she's in it for 30 seconds.
Plastic.
10 seconds.
Just got a bloody...
Well, he could have just lifted the cover without having to show her.
It.
She must have got over $100. Hospital. Jimmy and Laurie continue to get acquainted. Blah, blah, blah. We don't care. Loomis needs to see dental records at the coroner's. Okay.
This bit's all bullshit.
Yes.
I can tell he's 16 because he's not got fill-ins. Fucking hell, I had more fill-ins before 16 than I had after. Get fucked!
We get introduced to Nurse Karen Brady, who's late for work. And then, I think I read that the feedback from the original screening of the film was, how did Michael know that Laurie was in the hospital? And I get the feeling this scene was added in. Yeah, so we've got a guy with a boombox playing a radio news bulletin saying that victims have been taken to the hospital, and he bumps into Michael, so then Michael knows where to go to find Laurie Strode.
I will say, I didn't know that until I watched it tonight. I just worked out for myself. What? Because I always thought, what's the purpose of this? Because I thought that they were trying to repeat the bit with a young kid bumps into Michael.
In the first one when he's walking outside the school.
And I thought, that's why they did it. But then I went, oh, fuck me. They didn't do it just... It makes him more human, it shouldn't do. You know what I mean? He just knows where she is.
A remorseless killing machine.
Yeah,
who gives a shit? It doesn't need to be Sherlock fucking Holmes.
No, exactly. It's bullshit.
Everybody makes their way to the hospital anyway. I mean, from this point onwards, it's lots of scenes of empty hospital corridors.
And this is where it gets better, I think.
Yeah, probably. And jibber jabber from inane staff. Come on! We've got Bud and Jimmy in the rec room.
Well, like you say, there's random characters introduced just so it does. I'm being shown a picture that does look like Planet of the Apes with a wig on.
It's Bud singing his song.
So, right, one of the characters is Bud. He's there generally, right,
to be a bit obnoxious.
Anyway, the best bit of what he says is...
He sings this song.
Amazing grace, come sit on my face. Don't make me cry, I need your pie.
And that's the kind of highbrow stuff we're talking about.
But I'd heard that he made that up. It's quite a long scene, and I was looking and goes, there's no cuts. It's like a long take of tedium. And
Great.
Also the other nurse that's there, do we see her again?
We could, because he kind of offends her and she kind of goes out. Yeah, do you know what? I don't know if we do see it. Yeah.
And probably, no offence, good riddance, because she just looks at the telly because they're watching a news report and he's swearing a bit, and then she goes, oh, I don't like swearing. And he goes, yeah, whatever, get fucked.
Yeah, anyway.
Great actor.
So that's that. By this point, Michael's made his way into the hospital. We kind of see him moving around on security cameras.
Yeah, I like this bit. This is a bit I did forget about. So the security guard is watching one of the horror films, probably Night of the Living Dead. So that's in the background. And then while that music's on, you then see the figure of him on a security camera wandering around. I thought it was
on the
quite
outside
cool.
of the hospital.
Yeah,
making
but
his
it's
way
like
in.
the music in the background going... Wait, well, it's nothing like that. But you know what I mean? While he's wandering around, I thought, oh, it was quite effective.
Jimmy tells Laurie that it was Michael Myers that was after her in the first one. I think this is probably the first time she's heard that it's Michael.
Get ready for the bullshit on that. Now I was thinking, oh, she realises, because she never knew in the original. Oh yeah, there was a little bit of a clue. A massive fucking gravestone on a bed.
Now listen,
go on.
This is that you know, it might not have twigged at that point, but now she knows.
I mean, she
Jimmy's
was looking at
told
it
her.
a long time, wasn't she? She went, ah, ah!
Maybe she hadn't seen the first film. Anyway,
that's bullshit.
And also that seems to start triggering memories for her, which we'll come back to later in some fucking...
But it's only one, is it? I thought it was more than one dream.
No,
it's just
it's
one.
just the one.
Because
phone lines have been cut, and Mr. Garrett, the security/janitor, goes out to see what's happened. He's checking up.
good fucking 5 or 6 minutes of him
It's-
wandering around, didn't they?
I wrote it's 5 minutes. I didn't time it, but I went and looked.
Having said that, it's not bad, except for the cat attacking him.
I think you watched a different version. Inside a dumpster, he finds a poorly executed jump scare when a cat leaps out. Slow and intense. He does find that someone has broke into a storeroom, and then he opens a locker and discovers another poorly executed jump scare as some piled up shit falls on him. Predictably, he finally catches up with Mike, and he puts a claw hammer through the top of his head, which I thought was kind of gruesome. That was all right.
The noise is more gruesome than the actual...
Yeah, it kind of was a squishy noise. I said this was the saving grace for what was 5 minutes of pure tedium.
Yeah, it's not great.
At the coroner's, Loomis is convinced it's not Myers, but we already know it's not anyway because we've already seen Michael walking
I know,
around.
it's fucking obvious, and I don't know why they went with it.
Yeah, it's kind of wasting my time again. Don't they know my time is very precious? Angry mob, about 17, maybe 18 people, gathering at the old Myers place. It reminded me a bit of Halloween Kills.
Yes.
Mob rules.
Well, Halloween Kills does nick loads from Halloween 2, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's in a hospital.
It's very,
it's
very
mob
similar.
rules.
Very similar.
And that's why I don't mind that one compared to some of the other
And so
fucking
does
ones.
Absurd as well.
What? The fuck are you talking about?
Anyway, they just report that Bennett Tramer is missing, which is the guy you talked about earlier. So again, when that report comes in that he's missing, Loomis is even more convinced that it wasn't Michael who got rammed into the van. It was somebody else who was dressed very, very similar. Oh,
That's quite good.
At the hospital, nurse Karen Bailey checks on a patient. The patient scares her. It's her boyfriend, Bud. He jumps up. By the way, I haven't mentioned, Bud is played by Leo Rossi. He was in Maniac Cop. They head down to the therapy room. We'll get back to that in a second. In between that, we've got Laurie having her unsettling dream. Blood drops. Some child being told, I told you I'm not your mother. Then she visits someone in a facility. More blood drips. Yeah, that's that scene, that dream sequence.
Yeah, obviously he's meant to be Mikey Myers. So when they put the TV version in America, they had to cut certain bits out. And also, they wanted to pad it out so it filled a certain amount of time because it was a bit too short. Generally, in the Halloween TV version, there's a couple of scenes, but the one major scene is Dr. Loomis talking to nurses at like some kind of academy bit or something, I don't know. And he's on about sister was scrawled into a door at one point, something like that. So they're trying to retrospectively link the first one to the second one, saying, oh yeah, that's what was happening all along. But I think it was John Carpenter that directed those bits just at this, but it was made in 1981. So these segments were made in 1981 to fit into a 1978 film that was then being shown on the TV in 1981.
Okay.
Retrofit all this bullshit into it now. Obviously, I'm going to say the TV versions is shit.
Yes.
It's unnecessary, and John Carpenter has since said many times, I wish I'd not done
He
that.
regrets it.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of this film in itself, it's awful. But anyway, it's unnecessary. It doesn't need all that.
I mean, it's weird. It's very slick and fast. Well, slick, probably the wrong word, but quick film. It was over quicker than I thought for an hour,
But it's full of garbage. Shall we go back to the therapy room? Bud and Nurse Karen are getting down to it like a couple of teenagers in a slasher film. Michael turns up.
Yeah.
The heat.
He literally does.
This is good writing, isn't it? This is. Michael turns up. The heat. I've said it again. Karen sends Bud outside to check on the temperature dial.
I know, and they were playing doctors and nurses. Oh,
exactly. Well, I think he was he a janitor or something? I don't know. I don't want to be derogatory. So anyway, we watch Bud get killed the other side of some kind of frosted glass. Quite weak as a kill.
She's totally oblivious.
Well, she's gormless. But Nurse Karen tries to continue fooling around until she realises she's fooling around with Myers.
She's kissing his hand, which she would work out. It's about 5 times bigger than the bloke you were just trying to get off with. And
hands like shovels.
Covered in blood and dog dirt.
At which point, he promptly dunks her head in the now boiling water, dead.
Yeah, I always thought, even as a kid watching this, what, is it not in his hand?
Well,
in the hand.
He's a remorseless killing machine.
My hand!
Can you imagine the film if, when he was killing somebody, he was going, my hand!
Yeah.
Loomis and the cops search a school. This is padding. They discover Michael's been there. Loomis talks about Sam Hain.
Yeah, I remember that being vaguely interested because as a kid I didn't know what that meant, that word, so I did look it up and then I went, it is what he just said. But again, don't give him a backstory.
Because he's a force of evil. Marion Chambers and a marshal arrive from Smith's Grove to take Loomis back to the facility. The governor demands it. He's got to go back.
He does say to her, I didn't recognise you.
Yeah, I thought that exchange in the classroom was a bit weird because it's almost like he literally didn't recognise her.
I mean, she's got makeup on and she's aged 3 years, I suppose, which they all have. But,
it's almost like Pleasance had not seen her for 3 years. He just literally didn't recognise her. I know, it's a bit weird.
It was only the other night. Well, about a day before, wasn't it?
Well, you would have thought he'd have said, hello, Marion.
Wait, but he doesn't say it. But the weird bit is he doesn't recognise you. Or he goes, oh, you brush up nice. She's got a bit of makeup on, hasn't she? I don't freaking know, you know what I mean? And a brush up nice is not what I meant to say. I don't know what I'm saying.
Hey, I wrote this. This is kill 6 and 7. Dr. Mixter.
We don't see it.
Well, no, we don't, and that's disappointing. He's the kind of drunk doctor from earlier. He's found by one of the nurses. I think actually that's the nurse that was with Bud in the canteen.
Right, here we go.
With a syringe in his eye, but we don't see that. Yeah, it's a bit... But when the nurse discovers this, she backs away into the darkness. This is where I thought it actually was a little bit like Halloween, because she kind of backs away from Dr. Mixter. Michael emerges out of the darkness and she gets a syringe in her Shirley Temple. And that reminded me that, remember, Absurd came out in 81, the same year, and there was a scene where he put what looked like a coffee frother through a nurse's head. It harks back to Absurd 81. I quite like the kill anyway, because I thought because he came out of the darkness, it was a bit more subtle. And then afterwards, he kind of tilts his head as well, as if to look at what he'd done, which I thought was kind of... it
it's
harks a little bit
reminiscent.
back to the original, which I quite liked. Michael locates Larry's room, but she's legged it.
Well, is this bit where he stabs a pillow for about half an hour?
He kind of, a few times.
He's thick as pig shit, isn't he?
He's not cottoned on, has he? Empty, darkened corridors at this point, which is great. Views through various security monitors, which is also okay. And of course, Carpenter's synth continues to build the tension. So these bits in the corridors actually are not too bad. Nurse Jill Franco is shocked by Jimmy. In this scene, Tawny Mayer, who plays Nurse Jill Franco, her acting's awful, but she's kind of, there's a slight jump scare where Jimmy comes out and she's shocked. And then Jimmy finds another dead nurse who's been killed from a blood transfusion. Yeah, and this is the bit where he slips and banged his head in.
Yeah, but this is the bit. So what's happening here? Michael would have had to...
It's a very elaborate...
Put an intravenous into her arm.
It's a very elaborate
with a
kill.
Tube. Wrapped it round, because there was a lot of bandages around it. Laid her down, and then dripped it down. But having said that, he did get a gravestone and put random people around in that horror house, I guess. So you can't...
Yeah, we shouldn't question it too much. It's all set out nicely. That was kill number 8, actually, in the film. Kill number 9, we've got one of the nurses going out into the car park. I think it's Jill Franco again, and she discovers all at the again, Michael's gone around and slashed all the cars. He's literally gone to every car and slashed all the...
Gets around a bit fast, slow he walks.
He does all right. Clumps around, doesn't he? Then we got one of the film's other signature kills as Nurse Jill Franco is stabbed by Michael, and he lifts her off the floor.
Ace bit.
Yeah, I like this. And her shoes fall off.
And because it's the way he appears, it's not a jump. He
wanders behind her, doesn't he?
Yeah, he just turns around the corner and he just goes, I'm here.
And this is a turning point as well, because this is all in front of Laurie. Music kicks in. Dun-dun, dun-dun. Starts to...
Because she's not sure, is he really there? And
she's not seen him till this point.
Yeah. And also she's out of her fucking head at this point.
Yeah, she's still on sedatives and drugs and all sorts of stuff. So this is kind of where almost the film, and I don't know how far into the film we are, but it almost ramps up a little bit, because this is almost final girl time, I suppose you might say. So boing, boing, boing. Yeah, actually I've got it written here. It's about an hour and 10 minutes in. Got 20 minutes left.
And also, I did think, Laurie's not in it a lot. Laurie's fucking, I say meaner. Look, she's not in it a lot. But then she can't be. Again, it's a weird thing, because as good as it is that it starts immediately after, you can't just go, well, just them two then running after each other through the entire fucking film.
That might have worked really good, but you don't know.
Well, High Tension did that, or Haute Tension or whatever did that bit, except for that awful twist, but we won't go into that.
Michael chases Laurie into a boiler room at the hospital.
This whole scene, from the bit where he lifts the nurse up to the bit where she gets out the lift later on, I think's ace.
Yeah, she discovers Mr. Garrett, the security guy's body, and narrowly escapes through a little window.
Bit Suspiria-like.
Yeah, Laurie in the lift with Michael approaching was an okay bit, I thought. Tension, and it looked really striking with the red background. I really liked it.
And also, because she gets in the lift and she almost goes, well, I'm fucked.
She resigns herself, doesn't she? Yeah.
And he's still walking, he doesn't run, and he still walks, and he just puts his hand through. The weird bit is he
doesn't bother.
He just pulls it back.
Yeah.
But in a way, again, that's the whole thing with Halloween. It's not about him killing them. He wants to scare them, which is the whole purpose of his existence.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I liked that bit visually. I thought that was quite nice. This is where we learn about the file on Michael Myers. The Strode girl is Michael Myers' sister. We kind of already worked that out anyway. And then Loomis says, he's killed one sister, now he's trying to kill another. Loomis, the Marshal, and Marion Chambers arrive at the hospital because Loomis tells the Marshal, we're going back to the hospital. So they go back there. For some reason... At this point, Laurie's in the car park, and for some reason she can't shout to tell them.
Yeah, this didn't make any sense.
To warn them at all. Although she does manage to scream eventually, but by
just
that
the
point
doors
they've already
are shut, yeah.
yeah. Then the music starts to ramp up, and her and Michael get into the hospital about the same time. Really, her through the door by opening it. Him, he just kind of walks through the door.
I thought that's the ace bit. The way it's done as well, it's not like he just, I'm putting my arms up and like you would punch or put your arms up and smash through the glass. He literally just, I just wanders through with face first, really.
An unstoppable evil force. Loomis shoots him, and then obviously he falls to the floor. Then he wakes up and he slices the marshal's throat.
Well, yeah, but this is a bit, again, which I thought was all right, because I was thinking of, fucking hell, everyone knows he's not dead. And Donald Pleasance
says he's not dead.
He's not dead. One. He said it about 3 times. Well, he goes, no. He's not dead. Look at him. He's breathing. And he goes, oh. And then he's like talking to Laurie Strode and then turns around and goes, oh, for fuck's sake.
Will you leave him alone?
And he goes, no!
Yeah.
And then he gets his neck sliced.
Are you not listening?
Which is a not great effect.
Well, he draws a red line across his throat.
With a Crayola.
Well, that literally kills him, Tony.
Yeah.
It completely kills him.
Yeah.
But there you go. Loomis and Laurie run away from Michael and they hide in an operating theatre. Michael barges in and stabs Loomis. Not fatally. And then Laurie, as Michael approaches, shoots him in each eye, blinding him. She's a sure shot.
I think this is an ace bit because he grabs his face and it's crying blood.
And the blood, is crying.
Down his white face, right in the face, doesn't fall over.
You know my opinion on this. He's an unstoppable. I shot him 6 times.
Right in the brain.
And then whilst Michael stumbles around, they turn on all the gas bottles, and then Loomis sacrifices himself with his lighter and blows.
Well, yeah, he says to Laurie, get out or whatever. And he goes, what did he say? He said, it's time, Mike. But I always like this bit as well because he just goes, I'm fucking done with this shit in a nicest possible way.
Yeah, Laurie escapes. Michael does a firewalk, of course.
This bit's ace, though. The stunt man that did this, fucking hell, he seems quite on fire.
He's definitely on
fire. You can't downplay, because I always thought, again, when I first watched this, as much as it's that I'm going to give the game away a bit, not as good as the first one, obviously. You think, oh, he's dead, and the whole place blown up, and you go, oh, he'll do the usual. But then he just carries on walking, because he is an unstoppable
evil force.
So, but and he does the music as well, and you go, fuck me. And she's there, Jamie Lee Curtis is there as well, which I thought, they paid you a bit extra for that. But, it just keeps stomping out.
I was worried about that nylon wig. That could have gone up.
Good ending. It's good ending.
Hang on. Laurie escapes.
Yeah, Michael Myers does fall on his face on fire, and his face is all melting off, and she looks at it for a bit.
And then the aftermath.
Oh, the ambulance.
Laurie
are there.
is taken away by the paramedics. Mr. Sandman by the Cordettes kicks in again. Bum, bum, bum. And the credits roll, and that is the end of the film.
Well, there was going to be a different ending as well, so I know there's an extended ending, but as she said, the ambulance goes off into the fog, and then you see her face while she's just sitting there staring into space. But the extended one is generally, it explains what happened to Lance Guest.
Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy.
So it goes on to explain.
Yeah,
Jimmy reappears.
He's in the ambulance.
Nobody cares about Jimmy.
No. So
Jimmy.
It's not an extended version. It was just they cut it out because of when this is quicker to get to the end, which is good.
Haunted.
Yeah.
It ends how it began.
Yep.
And that is the end of Halloween 2. Well, there you go.
It's cut to fuck corner.
Cut to fuck the BBFC 18 certificate VHS. Nurse, this is the only scene that was cut slightly. Nurse Karen's head is dunked only twice. In the uncut version, it is dunked 5 times. I'm assuming with the twice one, it still shows her body being dropped on the floor. But anyway, the dunking only happens twice instead of 5. Let's review the film. Do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay. It has all the ingredients to be a good film. Because you've got John and Deborah writing it again. You've got the same setting. The soundtrack is good. Same cast. And it's the continuation of the same story. But for me, somehow it fails. For everything the first film does well, this doesn't. It doesn't have any of the subtlety or finesse. The original was never afraid to do nothing on the screen. You know, to have a bit of silence and to make the viewer work for it. In some of the scenes in this film, he kind of clumps around like a bit of a fucking moron. And talking of moronic, I just don't get the whole car crash bit. I just didn't get it. It was ill-judged and Loomis seems drunk throughout. It's not even half the film the first one was, and that's why I'm giving it 5. And it only gets that because I like American 80s slasher films. I didn't like it. There's bits, the only bit I've always said I quite liked is the novelty of it following on from the first one. But even when I go back and watch it now, the fact I have to watch 2 or 3 minutes, I think even that could have been done better. So even that's lost its shine. I have changed my tune because when I originally watched it, I liked that bit. But even now, looking back, I don't think it quite cuts it. So 5 for me. Yeah, 5.
It's similar. I never used to like the second one at all, really. But you compare it against other slashers without it being a sequel, and you go, there's good bits. Like I said, that I think the first chunk of it, whichever that is, half an hour, whatever, is not great. It struggles because it almost says, "Oh, I have to kill someone because I am carrying on," and then it goes, "Oh shit!" But I can't make an hour and a half film with me just killing constantly all the way through. That'd be Terrifier or whatever. So, I mean, I gave it 6, and I think it was going to be 5.5 to 6. Give it a bit more because it's unfairly compared, which is literally what I'm going to do now. If it hadn't been a sequel, it would probably got a better of a score because I was looking through my list of the other shit that I've watched and gave a higher score than this. And I've gone, really? But yeah, I've just put 6 because of a comparison to the original. It is half the film, really. I mean, the big thing that makes it any good for me is the soundtrack, to be quite honest. That gives it another 2 points. Otherwise it might have got like 4.5.
I have to be honest, maybe I've been a bit unfair because the soundtrack itself I really like. Yeah. And I'll watch films just so I can listen to them, So, yeah, it's probably, I'd not watched it for a while, but I did watch it a few times because I like Halloween, obviously, and therefore I'll watch the sequel a lot. I don't think it's dated necessarily, but it's just not... There's parts which are padding, and it struggles, I think. It's not... I don't think it's dated, because to say that, you'd say that Halloween's dated and to its detriment, and it doesn't. It still stands the test of time, so I don't think that... Okay, so 6. So... Any other there's been 13 in total, any others to recommend? I mean, the recent trilogy, I quite liked Halloween. I didn't like Halloween Kills. I haven't seen Halloween Ends. I know you've seen that. The Rob Zombie ones, I can't even remember those. I've only watched one of the Rob Zombie ones and I didn't like it, to be honest with you. Is there any others to recommend? I like H2O. I thought it was really good. Yeah. I'll be honest, I like H2O probably better than, when I think back, probably better than Halloween remake, David Gordon Green one. Yeah. Because it kind of, to be honest, it almost does the same as the 3 films tried to do, or at least 2 of them. It's very divisive, Halloween Ends, so I don't want to get into it. Because I watched it and I thought, well, I'll try and keep an open mind. But And that's the 2022, the most recent one, isn't it? Yeah. The final of the trilogy recent ones, yeah. Yeah, and I don't know really what to say about it. It's a weird one. It's okay. But it's not very good. It's the simplest way. You can say a lot about it, it's just not very good. I mean, I quite liked Halloween Kills. I don't mind it. I like the mob bit. I like the bit where they're all beating him up and they think they've got him, and then he goes, fuck this, and literally kills all the cunts. Okay, well, so that's Halloween. That's Halloween 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. That's it, I think.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Oh yeah, happy
And-
Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah, watch out for razor blades.
Yeah.